I want you to imagine you made it. Yes, you're rich and famous, only for your life to take a complete about face. And you end up not only homeless, but living out of your car for the past 3 years. In today's episode, we're going to be focused on a certain conversation that I really am just curious to know what your opinion would be in this circumstance. So my one question to you by the end of this is, what would you do? This is Dawn Robinson. Dawn Robinson has been the topic of discussion on a lot of platforms recently after she announced that she's currently living out of her car. Why is that surprising to a lot of people? Well, maybe because she was one of the members of Ex-EnVogue, a highly successful music group that sold over 30 million records worldwide. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen celebrities go from really successful to working a regular job. You know, in most cases, people run into, I think there's a few people I can remember who a fan may have run into somebody who's really famous and then they're working a regular job. This situation is a little bit different. Why is she living out of her car? You've got articles like The Guardian who posted Ex-EnVogue singer reveals she's been living in her car for years. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw this video of her here sharing the news that she's been living out of her car for the past 3 years, I thought to myself, I remember when I lived out of my car. Now, that lasted less than a month. And I think a lot of people have been through something similar like that. I was in my early 20s at the time, and I was finding my footing in the world. So I watched this and I said, you know what? I wish you the best. But the 3 years thing kind of threw me off. And I wasn't going to talk about this topic at all until things took an interesting turn. And that's what I want to focus on. But first, let's check this out.
You guys, for the past almost 3 years, I have been living in my car. I said it. Oh my God, it's out. I've been living in my car. Oh my gosh. If you remember, if you guys were with me, in 2020, I did like 105,000 interviews. And in the interim, I was living with my parents in Vegas. And that was wonderful until it wasn't. I love my mom, but she became very angry. And a lot of her anger, she was taking out on me, and I was her target all the time. And I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, I respect her too much. I didn't understand it. I still don't. And I was sleeping in my car for maybe about a month in Vegas. And then the guy that was co-managing me at the time was living in LA. And he said, you need to come back to LA. I don't have a lot of room, but I'll make room for you. And then when I got to his place, he actually didn't have room for me. So it turned into, okay, well, I'm going to put you in a hotel for the night. And that one night turned into 8 months. Oh my God, you guys. I was like, no, this is unacceptable. I have been researching car life. This whole community.
Real quick, that's pretty expensive, right? Has anybody lived out of a hotel room for that long before? 8 months. You know, I saw a figure of $3,000 to $4,000 as somebody was posting to say, oh, that's how much it would typically cost. That's pretty expensive. And I'm assuming most people would rather get something that's not a hotel room, because who really wants to live out of a hotel room? Let's keep listening.
Community of people that live in their cars, and a whole community of people that live in their RVs, and a whole community of people that live in vans. Van life, car life, RV life. And I loved what I was seeing. I just thought, wow, these people I can do that. I could do this, I think. And I ended up in my car, and it's been, like I said, 3 years. I think I'm going to go and sleep in my car. I think I'm going to live in my car. I've been researching it, and I know I can do this. And she's like, yeah, you can. She was gung-ho, and I was like, okay. So I went up to Malibu. You know, Malibu is the place where you can take Highway 1 all the way from New York, literally. And it's kind of the place where everybody stops along the way when they're coming from the East Coast and they're heading west, to California to make their dreams come true, to start a new life. Guys, this is not like, oh my God, poor Dawn. She's living in her car and it's terrible. Oh, woe is me. It's not that. It's not like I said, I'm learning about who I am. I'm learning myself as a person.
So she put a caption there. It says, awakening, healing, forgiving, growing. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this. Stay tuned.
As a woman, and I didn't think if you would have said to me while I was in En Vogue, you're going to be living in your car one day, I'd be like, huh? No, I'm always going to have an apartment. I can't live in my car. How can I do that? I won't be able to live in my car. We say that we can't do certain things before we even know we're capable. Nisa keeps telling me that when people find out, when the fans hear that you're living in your car, they're going to be so proud of you, because I am documenting this whole adventure. It's an adventure, you guys. It's a journey, and I've been documenting it and filming myself doing certain things.
All right, guys, there you go. You heard it for yourself. Let's be honest here. You know, right, based on what she said, that the intention was not to live in her car. She decided to embrace that lifestyle after a failed attempt at what it sounds like restabilizing her life. And so she chose to reframe how she viewed her situation, said, hey, there are a bunch of people, a community of people who live outside of the car. And believe it or not, they're actually very popular on TikTok. They do exactly what she's talking about, right? And some of them talk about the increase in being priced out of being able to rent a place to stay. Some of these people are young people. A lot of these people are artists. You know, at one point I was thinking to myself, I wouldn't mind actually, I'm not talking about actually living out of a car, but more like, an Airstream, what you'd call glamping, something nicer. But these videos aren't people who are really having a blast out here. A few of them I've actually seen post online begging for money, asking for help.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
And I mean, to me, when you get to the point where now you're begging, I don't think it's the worst possible case scenario, because we've all fallen on hard times. But I think that's when I would look at the situation as a dire situation. Next, we're going to check out some of these comments. What do people have to say? Top comment says, stop, Don Robinson, how? I didn't watch to the end, but this ain't right. I get the whole self-discovery thing. I still listen to her music to this day. And Vogue needs to go on tour. You know, when you find out, because I did a little bit of research, how much these record companies and executives and producers screw over artists. Screw over artists out here. It's ridiculous. Do you know that they only made 2 cents per album sold? And I told you guys earlier that they sold over 30 million copies. 2 cents. Now, with that being said, one of the founding members is worth around $7 million. But that, when you get the money, it's not just about making money. You end up realizing in this life, it's about how you manage it. It's about how you grow it. Life's really about keeping what you get. There are a lot of rich people right now, people who you would consider very rich, who won't be rich in the future just because they don't know how to manage that money properly, right? Reinvesting it and so on and so forth. Somebody else here says, y'all missing the point. She turned a bad situation into a positive for her mental. She's not asking for sympathy. This is the life she has embraced. That's what I actually look at and I think is happening here, right? You have a woman who was once making a lot of money and now is turning the situation into what she can to be able to power through it. Somebody else here says, Tyler Perry needs to give her a movie role, which somebody responded back and says, who are you to say what that man should do? He don't owe her. You all need to stop saying his name when people go through hard times. I'm assuming that's supposed to say. That's a great comment. I see that a lot, man. And I don't know why it's like that. I think people struggle. Community living and mindset is valuable to a degree. But this mindset of whenever a black person falls on hard times, like Tyler Perry should do this and he should do that. And if he doesn't, he doesn't owe anybody anything. Just because somebody is in a better position does not mean they owe you anything. Now, if they help, you could be grateful, but you can never do enough for people. You can look at anybody like Mr. Beast or anybody who reaches any level of prominence that they decide to give, you be attacked anyway. So here we go. The moment I realized that I was going to address this situation is when I saw this. This post shared by the Shade Room that read, Dawn Robinson's ex-husband offers her a job after revealing she's been living in her car for 3 years. I saw this and I said, wow, interesting photo. You've got Dawn Robinson there from her car video. And then you have her husband, her ex-husband, posted up with the Trump hat. What's crazy is that, he's a real Trump supporter. What do I mean when I say real? I think there are a lot of people who voted for Trump this last time around because of all the craziness they saw around. They're just like, man, you know what? We might need someone like Donald Trump. And they voted for Trump, not because they've necessarily always been huge fans of Donald Trump, but because they were looking around and thought to themselves, well, I'm not going to pick that. So this is the choice for me. But no, this is a 2020 Trump hat. And we're about to get into some coffee here. And so my immediate reaction was, okay, interesting photo choices by the Shade Room. They're proving their name true here, but I thought this was a kind gesture. And if I was her, I would take that gesture. And I don't know where their relationship is at. I would try to work things out with my ex-significant other. In fact, I think there are a lot of women who maybe left their marriages and aren't in such good situations now, who, if they could go back to their ex-husband, if he would take you, that's who you need to go back to. But with all that put aside, the real shock here was the response from the women on the Shade Room. For example, this commenter who said, he's a clown, just give her money. So you just want him to just give her money and not provide her with an opportunity to get money for as long as she possibly can continue to work. This type of mindset is the same type of mindset of people who think that if they were to win the lottery, then their lives would end up better. When we see what happens when you give people who cannot manage money properly or who've never had a certain significant amount of money, is they destroy themselves and end up in the exact same situation. A lot of people overestimate just how responsible they would be if someone just handed them like $1 million or something. And they think that like $1 million is a lot of money that would never run out. But over and over again, we see that it comes down to who you are as an individual. Somebody else here said, he's a Trumper. I see why she would rather sleep in her car than go back to that. What do you guys think of this? I really want to know what you think. And this is why I said my question to you guys at the end of this is, what would you do in this situation? Because I think this is another ridiculous point. When we saw Obama and Donald Trump having a casual conversation together, both sides of the political spaces were just like disgusted. And what was funny to me is I spent the whole election year addressing political topics only when I felt they intersected with topics I discuss here on the Coffee Pod. But it was mainly wives and husbands and relationships that were unstable, right? Some wives threatening to leave their husbands and single women encouraging those wives to leave because they share different of political views. And I thought to myself, I said, you guys wouldn't piss on any of these political figures who you may disagree with if they were on fire and you have all this hatred and anger. But they don't have that type of hatred and anger to the extent you do, to the degree you do when you see them in person. Isn't that strange? At this point, if you're living out of your car and you've been living out of your car for 3 years, and I'm not talking about her, I'm talking about all these different people whose pride are so big that you can't humble yourself and say, hey, I'm in a situation right now. I need help. All that doesn't matter. Those people are not going to give you money. Is the party that you're voting for going to pay your bills? I mean, really think about that. Here's somebody else who says, beggars can't be choosers. Take the job, girl. Right? This person here thought that that was the right move. Do you agree? Somebody else here added, nope. Let me Venmo her some gas money. So people are so outraged by her accepting money from her ex-husband, or I'm sorry, not money, but a position in his restaurant. I'm assuming he owns the restaurant, or maybe he's like part manager or something like that. Either way, he could get her a job, and she needs a job. She needs a job. But they're like, nope, let me Venmo her some gas money. So what happens when the gas money runs out? Please. What happens? That's the problem with people thinking that like helping people, giving them money, or people thinking all I need is somebody to give me some money right now and I'll be okay until it runs out. Until it runs out. Here's somebody else who says, I don't feel sorry for single people that are living in their car and you're not disabled / mentally ill. Get up off your ASS and get a job with an exclamation mark here. I don't know if maybe she might be going through something mental, right? Life gets to you at times, but I don't know. Somebody else here added, not with that smile. She got a GoFundMe because I can't stand ex-husbands. And so they're like, I would rather she struggle, live out of her car, continues to do that, open a GoFundMe than accept help from her ex-husband. I believe that's just too bitter, right? That's just being too prideful. Somebody else here added, stay in the car. They just want to say they helped you. This is the type of pride that keeps people down forever. Am I tripping here, guys? Like, I need complete honesty in the comment section down below. You're in this situation and your life has turned out this way. Ex-husband reaches out to offer you help. Do you think that turning that person down because you don't want them to say they helped you is too prideful? I think it is. I think it is being too prideful. And so I think overall, the final message we can all take away from this situation and story is humility. Life is long. Life is ever changing. And you want to make sure you do your best to educate yourself on how you can sustain yourself for the future, especially when you are in a good place. And if someone offers you a helping hand, to not be too prideful. And then two more things. When it comes to modern women and living out of their cars, I'm starting to see more videos just like that. A lot more, especially older women who are struggling to survive out here. I think that'll become more of a common thing. I think a lot of these chicks, if they did 50-50, were able to cooperate with the man, would not be in situations where they would rather live outside of their car. If they enjoy it, then good for them. But I find it hard to believe, especially when I see not her video, but I see some of the videos of people begging online. Now, like I said, we've all been there. We've all been there. And when I say that, I mean, we've all been through hard times. Not everyone has lived in their car, but we've all been through hard times. And if you're going through that now, you'll get through it. Make a plan, focus, and do not give up. You will get through it. What would you do in this situation, guys? Of course, do you think that she should take up her ex-husband's offer for the job, or do you think she'll be as prideful as some of the comments we saw coming out of the shade room?